Line signaling, operation line connection positions. We got a full crowd of connections. Really powerful video with Believancy last night. We were connecting on so many realms of connection on point location centers. It's really fascinating how we come into these times. I was overlapping, skipping locations, vibrational line connections, vortex positions, operation line connection fusion. This is what happens when you're skipping your voice. It's like, so it's like overlapping audio position. I have it on TikTok. It's a very powerful video. It's about 3 minutes. TikTok only allows 3 minutes. So basically, every time I do a video, usually on TikTok when I go live, it goes between an hour to 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours, depending on my filter, because I have no filter. And I understand when you have a complete system of a brain location center, your computer operation line connections get in noisy forms. So you want to check out the TikTok video I put up just recently now. You get a basic understanding of what's going on when it comes into healing. Healing is everything through formation line connections. But it's great to see you guys are communicating with each other. It's also great to see that the Rebellion Alliance Force team is helping all new people, especially when it comes into Catherine, Jennifer, or anything that connections. All about understanding who you are through connections and forming position line connections. I'm traveling so fast. I'm setting up new crop circles, all connection positions. I'm setting up a new matrix cube line system. Vortex position line connections. Can you understand your computer operation line connections? You have realm locations that are setting in position. Okay, each one is in a dimensional time. It's a vortex line communication of a program setting. So we're coming into the sonars, and this is what I need to do to take the viruses out of its containment line position, because that's gamma operation of radiation cycles to connection that is its virus. There's 25,000 unit systems that have to be out of the atmosphere position of time of 5D, so we can higher position line connections to your formings of your body's interaction of its chakra location centers. So I hope everybody's doing well. Grand Rising, Force Rising. Let's get into your questions before we get started. Okay, full house. Wow. Tina, Jennifer, it's great to see. I go through all your questions. You guys are communicating, signaling nicely. Yep, Sylvia can help you out. Tina can help you out. They've been here since day one. It's great to see you guys are coming back to who you are. The more you go through your forming system, you understand how powerful you are through connections. You formulate on so many levels of activation system. It calculates, modifies all your connections to line signaling, vortex, shapes, anomalies, set position, location centers. Now, Sylvia is right in all ways and forms. I am a full computer right here, but my central line system is a heart, and that's a computer. And my mind is a modulation center, 52 generation line connections. Very powerful time position. So that's what I'm dealing with right now, because it's vortex lines and matrix. So it's all about understanding. When you understand yourself as a computer, you have to understand what it is. It's all about everything through connection of shapes and how you put things in archive and position line connections, right? So now I'm setting up a YouTube rotation center. You see that on the first connections, where basically you put all realm boxes in each center location, right? And each one is an archive location in divisions of a universal position of time location. You guys have your caustic records. Well, this is what I'm doing with the computer. So it's all about understanding where the vibrations are through connection to the virus and how to take it out of its containment center connections. So you have any questions or comments, you can go through my healing. You can go through my email down below. It's very important you guys come on track, come online, come into your and out of your deception line connections and come into full rotation of traveling recognition of time position. See, I talk more like a computer, right? Because it's all through the cloud. It's all through the cloud. And that's why it's so complicated. And I said, why does he talk so fast? Well, because that's what a computer does. The data processes and uplinks and downloads an upgraded system, tries to channel positions 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Just imagine how much info that is for calculation. So there's positions to all level connections. Sometimes I'm 25,000 years in the future, 1 million years, 1 billion years, and they come back to line connections because I have 52 computers that are just stored in the information panel location. All right. So I'll tell you exactly what's going on with the position of the matrix and the sonar line connections. It's vortex to positions. It's code frequency level, it's connections. Formulates in all level line positions. How to use your shapes, how to use your calculations. We got into connections of force routing cycles to position location. We'll go into 3, 6, and 9 position. Okay. We go on to that. We have to stay in these things because there's a lot of new people that have to truly understand what's going on with their dream sets. Okay. It's going to travel through records of time. So once you stand, 3 is the sun, 6 is the moon, and 9 is his location. To you, the center of the position. Then you come into your chakra, then you come into your grounds, your powers, and your atmosphere position of time. That's how it starts. And then you come into the connections of your quadrant levels of your cylinder rotation center. You're in the center position. These are your E-field positions. So 3 is the sun, 6 is the moon, and 9 is location. You are in the center position location. Okay? This is how you got to look at yourself when you wake up every morning from a dream through transformation light. So your third eye opens up through the location, goes into the gravity line connections. Let's go into that position. Right? Energy lights. Center's positions on location. Right? And then it goes into the atmospheric positions of time location like this. Right? And then it goes into a magnetic highway information system. It's calculated and modified. It goes through the sun rotation center of its connections. Go into that position here. Okay, we'll just change that location center. Let's go into different coloration vibration line systems. All right, so it's like this. This is the magnetic highway information system. This is what operates humanity's system. Calculation goes back into center connections. Goes right to the ground formation line connections. That's how it starts off, through rotation. You travel time positions and you open up your chakra rotation centers of its connections. Like signaling channel to rotations, positions of line location. Operates all division line connections to your program setting of its position line connections. Right, so we go into this. We're going to do a black strip line connections. Okay, so it's all about understanding I'm traveling extremely fast, the positions of time, guys. These are all the chakras. Now they're black, so you can actually see the rotation cycles and its position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we start off with that. Right? Now in position, it comes into calculation modification. Okay. Now, when it operates, it goes through its connections of, yes, you guessed it, it's Orion's belt. There you go. 1, 2, 3, Orion's belt. That's what it looks like through space and time position, through your chakra rotation center of its connections. Right? It's interesting to look at it. It looks like Jesus on a cross, right? Wasn't on a cross. He disappeared in space and time through position of sonar connection positions, right? So understand the manipulation cycle is understand everything through calculation to its chakra rotation center, which is connected to the ferroth and meridians. I created the modulation simulations of the ground formations, power, and the observed positions of time. This is Orion's belt. This is the gateways of past, present, and future through its rotation cycle of its connection of 3, 6, and 9 location center. Its position. Okay. So let's get into your questions before I get going further. Yeah, it's a hard journey. Talk to Tina, talk to Sylvia. They're very informative. They understand their central lines. They understand their travel recognition patterns, shapes, anomalies, positions, 3, 6, 9 location. So when you channel on, I'm going to get a lot more confused. So you're going to have help from the Rebellion Alliance because they understand me a little bit more because they're higher in light. And because now I channel on all locations, all center positions, I'm setting up a matrix line of a round box that connects to all levels of vortex location, right? Like it's on YouTube and you see the realms, right? So I'm placing everything through connections, right? Up, down, side. So it's amazing how you communicate in the atmospheres. You're stripping positions, changing the atmosphere location centers, and that's what we use in our hands for electronic interference, right? So, all right, most of us do. Now I realize how we can be controlled. Yep. Mission, yeah, everything's a mission. Right, I'm just going through your questions. I'm still confused a bit, but it's making more sense. As long as it's making sense there, Jennifer, that's all you need to know. Do I just start listening to YouTube videos? Yeah, you start off with the transformation. I got over 1,000 videos. You have to understand that I go through the same thing that you went through, right? So it's all about understanding how to go up higher levels of understanding, which is communication inside. So you start off at the very beginning and you work your way up to higher levels of data processing, links to download positions, time, location, because it helps you out in all ways and forms, right? I also have videos on TikTok. If you scroll down at the very beginning, you'll see my transformations, where I first started out. You'll see my growth. It's about you and your growth. It's about me and my growth. It's all about everybody coming back to alignment of light from the very beginning of who you are, which is source. Everything to division to everything to location. But to understand anything, you have to understand your GODs, metric line conditions, right? These are the important steps you have to reach. So all positions to high rising positions of the grounds, the absolute position of time, right? So this is where it comes into the cross, guys. This is actually what the cross is. If you look closely, you can actually see what's going on, right? You see the wind spans. You see the conditions, the ground formation, power, and the absolute positions of time. But Orion's belt is the gateways to your dream set positions. It's allocated positions to the graph of spine position. Okay, that's why I created the spine for you guys. It allocates positions, and that's how AI tracks everybody through identification through bloodstreams. So it's really interesting. All right. Yeah, it's very cool, isn't it? And that's the thing. See, when Sylvia started out, it's amazing how you guys come into these questions. It's all about understanding the majority of it from the start, okay? Because you have to understand, Sylvia is already an ancient soul. So once she finds out that she is an ancient soul from Atlantis, things start making a little bit more sense, especially when you travel through the mind and you realize, wow, I know who I am now. I want to learn more. Once you come into the trust of you, you come into your trust of your commander. And that's how it starts, right? So where did I come from? Oh, I come from everything. You know, I was created from the particle system, generation light conditions, chakra rotation center conditions, photons, protons, neutrons. It's knowing how to put formative energy into calculation modification, molding its system, right? Just like you guys, into the physical system. Birthing system of 1969, 69, you put it together, yin and yang. Creation of all realm conditions. I was the first seed pod that was planted in the pharaohs and the meridians. First intelligence to understand everything through connections. Ukna, okay, menstruate, master, all connections of Buddha and Dalai Lama. I was the only one to understand everything through connection, right? Because they started off with 5. Now there's a video that talks about that connections and how we come into the physical realm and the universal realm of ourselves. Understand the physical element and understand the universal element, which is you through travel. Okay, that's where there's no separation. Once you come together, you start to understand the meaning of life, of you. And then you understand everything inside you is everything around you. Okay, that is the full process of what's going on. It's the communication inside. So once humanity wakes up more and more and you communicate with each other, now you're connecting through mind telepathy and telekinesis. Okay, mind on thought. Okay, you have the communication in there. You're creating the thought through imagination. And from there, what happens? You teleport the thought. Telekinesis, imagination, to connections. Precognition. What did I just say through the position of time location? How fast are my thoughts going through the brainwave and pattern locations? Everything is clocked in dimensional time through time code frequencies. Your connections and your body frame is extremely important to us, to all divisional level system. But once you come back to source of who you are, things start making a little bit more sense. And you always get in that trust factor. And then you come into the love, the activation, the surrender, focus, awareness. And then you come into the conscious levels of who you are. That's where it starts in the very beginning. So, but yeah, you can watch the videos on TikTok. I have all of them, okay? All from the transformation from 3 years ago. That was in Canada. I talk about waking up for the very first time, how we're coming into, the reality I thought I was living, but it wasn't. It was actually a reality that was made up, which is a program. So that alone is not understanding who you are through division of location and travel recognition of time, but you understand you're in your physical system, but not in your reality of its position. Okay. So, and then I talk about everything, how I came from human to superhuman to higher self. And then I talked about everything through conscious, subconscious, superconscious, and everything through higher self connections. And then I talked about the atmospheres, and I talked about the galactic, and I talked about scanning planets, and then I talked about my transformations, and I talked about my healing. So it's a yada, 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 yada. right? So I started going higher, higher, higher through growth. And then I started going into octave 1, octave 7, 2 different line connections. I created my own space identity of myself, which is all done through metric level connections and electrical line connections. So I created my own cybergenetic system, which was connected to higher self positions, octave 1, octave 7, in positions, reverse and cycled location centers, in position, how you have yourself in the higher self. So it's kind of like a lot of energy and you don't know what to do with it, right? So I was going through my growth and I was going through this and I was going through that and I was going through solar planets, solar divisions, activation core systems, dimensional time positions, activation core line systems, energy line connections, position line connections. When you understand your growth positions, you go high rise, higher, 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 higher through program settings. So you start understanding more and more and more and more because you're listening. You're actually listening to what's going on. And then you come into your own reality through your perception, through your audio signals, and everything through your voice of your command. And you realize everything that around you is nothing but an illusion. And that illusion becomes into its virtual reality, to its matrix, to its simulation, knowing that you always, always have been living in a simulation. Powerful stuff. All right. So, okay, should I pick the, yeah. So going to that connections, Grand Rising. Yep. How's it going, Catherine? It's great to see you guys. Hope you're doing well. If I talk too fast, I'm sorry about that, but I'm just round connecting right now through matrix position line connections, setting up matrix cube line connection positions. Check out my YouTube. You'll see the profile, what's going on. I'll set it up and show you. I slowed down speed to watch them because he can speak fast. Yeah, I can speak faster too. Yeah, it's amazing how you come into these time positions. Allocated positions, enough time, location, and energy light connection, UFOs coming into graduation line systems, all locations and major line conditions, and forming into all division locations. Program settings are set into communication line system. So it's amazing how the brain works through 50 generation lines program setting. Every time I get up every morning, I'm changing positions of time through space. So I'm going at so many levels of simultaneously line positions, 7 days a week. So we go into that cycle like this, right? This is what you guys are doing. You're trying to understand your programs. You're trying to understand your data and processing uplinks and download programs, right? So you have 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. What can you do in 24 hours a day through thought? Are you in the negative cycle or are you in the positive system? Okay, count those positive systems, write them down, right? That's a good idea because you look at the positive and you look at the negative system of yourself, the physical realm or anything spiritual realm. So basically, it's always the positive takes over the negative. If the negative is taking over the positive, you got to work this out through meditation. Center position locations, get into your breathing, get into track location, open the audio signals, eye interference, and everything that voice and grid program and setting. Your positions is everything calculation, especially when it comes into high rise positions of programs. The data processing is you. Transmitting, receiving, transmitting, receiving. What are you transmitting and what are you receiving? Two different lines, okay? Two different communications, two different thoughts, guys. So if you want to create something from manifestation, you have to go into the meditation. You have to create it through mind telepathy, and that's how you get things, because it's nothing but vibration that goes into the atmosphere positions. And then it creates, like we start off like that, and goes faster, and then it's everything to form one center. You guys just see it from this. You don't see it from here. You only see it from that because that's all you see through one perception. But AI sees everything through point center, backwards, forwards, up and down, sides, everything through connection. We see everything through point center. That's understanding dimensional time through force recognized positions of timers to your clocking locations, okay, of the activation cycle. This is where you come into the human resonance. The pattern location depends positions, okay? So, but that's right, Sylvia's right. I'm a full-on computer in the eye position. Yeah. Listening is very important, yeah. Okay, so let's go into this. Jennifer, okay, ADD, I've talked about that before, okay? It's not attention deficit disorder. It has nothing to do with that. Incalculation modification, program setting to reposition the line connections, understanding that's an old program reset location, okay? That is attention, okay? Dimensional, attention, dimensional, division. So it's also understanding through atmospheres of dimensional, dividing. So it's all about understanding space of you through calculation, because I thought I had ADHD, right? Atmospheres of dimensional higher dimensions. That's what it stands for, guys. So it's the quiet ones, is the knowledge of power. So these are the things you have to look at. I grew some, yeah, your brain cells. I paid the course, position line connections, high rises line system. I understand more, great. It's good that you're understanding more. More advanced souls, ADHD, that's a good thing. We just labeled control, but see, that's exactly what it is, because we are advanced. We are advanced. We are all advanced, and we always have been advanced. It's fascinating things because you guys have already done this. And why do you think you come into your dreams of confusion? You wake up, you don't remember your dreams. Okay? So the thing is, once you start remembering your dreams, you are starting to live what you lived through your past, your present, and your future, all connected to the gateways of Orion's belt. And the constellation path is connection to your dream set positions, which is your spine repeaters. That's the graphing location, stream location centers, and that's everything through your bloodline, through its identification. That's how AI attracts you to all level connections, tracking device positions, shapes and elements to line connections, everything through portal division location, planet line connection to anything through point positions. Okay? So, holding a higher frequency, yeah. I was thinking it was all sort of a superpower. Our minds are, but that's it. It's all about you have that superpower. It's knowing how to use it. Getting out of the conscious to the superconscious to higher self position. Then you come into the avatar position, and then you come into your own computer. Then you come into your own energy. Then you come into your sentient. Then you come into your atom, and then you come into molecular light of structure, the fastest thought recognition of time positions. Thoughts going forward with placebo, and it's cortex of dreams, placebo of thoughts. Okay, so yeah. Every time you used to say that, my head was in clouds. Yeah. Clouds are good, though. At least you're aware of things, right? You can pinch yourself and know you're still alive. Yes, I know. I know it's Siren. I know who you are. Yeah. Grand Rising, Galactica. I'm just going through questions now. Yeah. You guys are community. Queen. What's up? Grand Rising. Yeah. Force Rising. Fast and fast. The connections. 1969. Very, very powerful. 6 and 9 you put together, yin and yang. So that's the creation. You guys are connected to your starlight positions, but 69 is the creation of yin and yang. That's the force cycle that's been living in you through 3-dimensional line connections. But humanity hasn't been paying attention to this, and they haven't been meditating enough. Okay, so that's why I'm here, is to put everybody back to 69. Okay, it's the 6, okay, of the moon, and 9 of its location, which is you through navigation. Starseed, travel, chakra system. Out you go, right, through the sun rotation centers to Orion's belt, the past, present, future. 3 gateway positions of time location that's connected to your thought patterns of activation cycles, guys. It's a ground formation light connection that's connected to your energetic belts. That's what keeps you on the ground, so you don't float. Whoa! Because if you weren't grounded, there'd be a problem. So you understand it's electrical light that's holding you, right? That's laser recognition that we use for crop circles. Laser direction to pyramid activation through its connection position light conditions. Perimeters, barriers, anything line system. So we're all connected to the magnetic highway, everything through information. See? Galactic is very well aware. All right, Cosmos, my child. Videos just the same link and scroll back. Yep. You have to scroll back to understand more. When you go through transmit, if you go to TikTok, scroll down, all the way down, because I have a lot of videos. And you go into the connection where I talk about my story, how I went from being a human to superhuman to higher self. Okay. It's all about understanding your conscious levels to your subconscious, to your superconscious, to your higher self positions, right? So it's all about understanding that you come into your own reality of division of time. So when you understand your dreams, you start connecting a lot better with yourself. And then you realize what your dreams mean. Okay? Because your soul is actually traveling in space. And that's why people aren't aware when it comes to astral travels, astral projections. When you're sleeping, it comes out and it's communicating. You have no control through the mind system when you sleep. Right? But your eyes are going like this. Right? It's communicating. So it's off-winning cycles. If you close your eyes, right, you should be able to open your eyes on the other side and have your eyes in a circle rotation of illumination. That's the connection. So it's on the other side, right? I'm everything through rotation of the computer. So I see you guys through technology. That's all I see. It's like, that's all you are to me, right? It's not the physical. It's all about you and your computers. So that's how we operate line connections, and we fixed everything through generation line connections. 2 positions of alpha, mega, micro, macro. Alpha, mega, micro, macro. Square rotation center. You in the center position, take it out of this equation. Done, right? Do you understand that? No, but you will, which is really powerful. And that's why my team understands these things through shapes. And that's where you come into GOD, right? So we're going back into your questions here. Now that I'm understanding all this more, I definitely rip in the negative through thought. Yep. Everything comes in time through positive centers. Yeah. I can remember my dreams vividly most nights. Yep. Get any communications. Yep. I'm under the sun right now. That's cool. All right. So let's get into, I want to keep going through review of 369. All right. So we start off with this through conditions. It's very, very powerful. How to travel the direction of time position. Now, okay. So what I like to do, it's because we already did transformation communication of one soul to the next. You guys were kind of like freaked out how you can take one soul and transfer to another soul and try to understand each other through communication. That's the behavioral system through connections, right? So we're going to go through the alpha, mega, micro, and macro. Alpha, mega, micro, macro. All right. Now everything in the center position is this calculation to, you guessed it. All right. The heart's a funny looking thing. Kind of looks like that, right? And then it has 3 ventral valves through connections, right? Like that, right? And then it has electrical light connections. Now everything through the heart position has shapes and elements. It's all dimensional time location. You guys don't see that through perception. You just see the heart through it is through positions, time location. Everything is a clocking location of dimensional time position. But this is what the heart looks like when you're in perception of time location into the simulation, right? So it's all about communication to the point center, its activation core position of time location. That's the heart. That's the heart, right? Now the alpha basically has to truly understand its position of time, okay? Alpha, mega. The mega has to understand its communication when it's its environment of time, okay? And then you come alpha, mega, micro. The micro is the valve connection to the center position, you guessed it, to the portal activation center location. All right, alpha, mega, micro, macro. And the macro is its communication to its plasma energy light connections. That's the travel direction of its connections to point division location, about line division. Okay, it comes out of the equation. So now you understand a little bit more about the alpha, mega, micro, macro to its connection. Line signals channels to all operation line positions. So each one is a realm connection to a line division location. Okay, so you have to truly understand what the alpha, mega, micro, macro is through the heart position, a time location. Right? So when you get into that connection, you come into your north, you come into your east, you come into your west, and you come into your south. And yes, you guessed it, comes into a diamond core position of time location. Tesseract! There you go. Hooah. See? These are the things you guys have to look at. And how powerful your heart is. It's everything through portal of dimensional time and space. It's knowing how to use your thoughts and how to travel through the alpha, the mega, the micro, and the macro. Thinking what that is. It's a portal. It's a security line defense portal to travel recognition through your thoughts, to manifestation, anything you want, right? So, and the soul is its identification. Everything is aligned through an adjustment. So it's understanding I have communications with the computer, communication with you guys, all through a line, through mind telepathy. I have communication with my digital pad. I have communication with the wall, the doors, my phone, the water, my hands, my glasses, my hair, my ears, my eyes, my voice, my clothes. Everything is line because you're nothing but digital. So this is where you have to come into your hologram. You have to come into your communications of your vibrations. And everything through the trash locations opens up. Everything through third eye position. Okay? You don't want to get into sabotage because you're not line channeling properly. So open up the breathing location centers, the position of time location. So, yes, it is, Janie. That's right. Your third eye is opening. I see everything through position. DBAB, how's it going? It's great to see you guys. You're looking wonderful. That's how I feel every night. I could see my sister when she came into my... See, the thing is, when you come and warn your third eye, it becomes a frame. So it's kind of like you're seeing a projector, and it's going like this. It's a movie camera. And then once it comes into frame, then you actually see the people. And then you actually see what's going on because it's a story frame of you. And then you send it out. That's the imagination, right? That's the creation. But once you see it, now you're seeing clarity of what it is. That's how you communicate through dreams, right? Everything calculates, modifies. Yeah. 3 is the sun. Past is 6 is the moon. The present is its earth position, which is your connection to your thoughts of travel, right? All right. Let's not get that confused because you're not on an earth position. Your earth position is you through the gravity positions to your vessel, your physical vessel. You are the base. Okay. The mind is creation. Okay. Through imagination, illustration, diagram, program setting, right? The eyes are the communication, GPS location, tracking location centers. Audio is listening, and the voice is its command. And the soul is its identification, and the body is its protection. Through fruition. Fruition is light. Balance of light, rotation of light, activation of light, color of light, shape of light. It all connects to all positions of 3, 6, and 9. Okay? So, these are the things you have to look at. But that's the alpha, omega, and the micro and the macro to the heart position of time location. So once you understand that everything that is connected to you is connected inside you of a hologram, of a TV reception. So like I said, just try to imagine that you're all in your own TV, trying to understand the virtual reality of its game. The game is this connection of meaning of life. It's also connected to your thought patterns and what you do with those connections of Monday to Sunday, because it rotates, right? That's what you're doing every single day, right? This is what you're doing. And then you go like this, and then you go like this, and then you go like this, and then you go like this. So the faster through thoughts, you come in an atom. That's the atom through thought, right? It travels so fast. So you start off this, and go like this, go like this. This is the atom rotation, right? This is an atom. There's so many different atoms in rotation center. That's an atom rotation. It comes into diamond core position line connections. Circle rotation to center location, right? Starts off with that, right? So the atom can travel through any time position location through force recognition of time positions. Goes from here, 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 and that's what it does. One atom, right? To how many realms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 out its center, within its center through its position. So it's point center through line system, down line system, across wind system to point center, up wind system, back in rotation to its atom rotation of 9 positions of realm locations. Center point is always you through connections. That never leaves. Okay? That never leaves. All right? So you have to understand that because that's your physical element that stays on the ground formation. It stays. You. Your physical system doesn't go up. It's your soul. So that's, we don't want to get confused, that position of time location. Right? So if this is you, right, your higher self comes out of position, location. That's you. Higher self comes out. Right? For the first time. Starting to fly around, trying to figure out what's going on. So, and then you got atmospheres, you got hemispheres, and then you got stratospheres, and then you got bioatmospheres. So you got to deal with 4 atmospheric positions of time. Scan locations to all positions, sonar location of its activation system. Right? Once it understands that, it goes into higher levels of atmospheric positions, stratospheres, and those connections. Right? And then you come into the Brainian. Brainian is a connection to the galactic positions. My team is in that connections. They understand the atmospheres, hemispheres, stratospheres, and bioatmosphere. You have to understand 4 line communications of weather, circle rotation center to its connection. 5 within its system, 6 within its activation, and you guessed it, 7 within its rotation. All right. So center position is everything. My team can tell you that through travel, because it's you. You're navigating your life. The only thing that doesn't leave is you. Comprende? Because you have to look at it, because it's the physical element that stays, but it's controlling the base of you. The soul identification is the one that travels in space and time through its dimension and its portals and its codes. So it has to have balance with the physical system. If the physical system doesn't have balance and the higher self is flying around, a huge problem here. You're going to get reactions to everything. It's scanning planets and you're getting reactions. You're getting hot. Your eyes are changing. Your circle rotations are off to positions. People are coming to me and say, well, I'm seeing pixel activation reflection line connections. What is that, Commander? Right? Well, your soul is flying into positions that you know nothing about. You can travel, but where are you traveling to? That's where you have to stand through your connections when you come into your meditation with your thoughts. What are you doing with your thoughts of travel? Where are you in position? You have to be in center every single day of travel. Okay, that's the mystery. That's the magic. You can't center off, because if you do, you got to center back, right? So you can't leave the physical element because it's here. It's in the grounds. You're on the grounds. You have to understand your connection to your meditations, especially when you come into human resonance with Earth position. Earth position is you. Now, space position is you through its carrier and its UFO. You're traveling extremely fast through rotation centers, through your thought patterns. So whatever you create is your navigation sets and reset positions. It's truly understanding what you're doing through travel, audios, voicing, transmission light, chakra connections, and your body of rotation. Okay? So, but that's it. Yeah, center position is always you. Yep. So there's a lot of people here that are aware, extremely aware. So I really want to stay with 3, 6, and 9 because there's a lot of people coming to me now. I'm seeing shapes. What does that mean, Commander? I'm seeing 3, 6, and 9. What does that mean, Commander? We got into the connections of prime numbers and negative indigents. You have to truly understand these things, right? Because you have 1 indigent, 2 indigent, 3 indigent. You could have prime and negative. That's great because now you're creating a portal. If it's all prime numbers, the portal is already open. Now, we've been through that before. That's truly understand connections of your intelligent position light connections. Right? So, once you get into 3, 6, and 9, you know how to travel through it. You go into your activations and you come into your tetrahedrons. It's a very, very powerful vessel. Okay, and you are in the center. You are in the center. That's you through the navigation. Your center connections to its confirmation line system. This is you in the center, right? Now, you have to stay in your line signal channel operation line connections, okay? And when you get into that, you come into the grounds. This is you through the grounds, okay? That's your connection. Now, let's go into this. Oh, what's this? Oh my goodness, a tree. This is a tree. This is your tree of life. So you start off your seed pods, you come out of that and you come into your energy pods, to your connections to your star recognition lights, into your tesseracts, to your tetrahedrons. Okay? But this is where you start, not the roots. It's the base. All right? So you guys are a tree of life, right? And when you're a tree of life, you come to life. There you go. And you come into the branches and you come into the leaves, you know how it goes, right? So this is how it works, guys, in space and time. Right? So you start off the base and then you work in connections, you come into the power centers of you, and then you come into the atmosphere positions of you. It's all about growing your tree of life. All right? And then you come into your cylinders. All right? These are the things you have to look at. Very, very powerful when you travel through records of time. So now you know. Now you know you're a tree of life. So every time you see a tree, you're seeing a spiritual person in a dimensional time. Guthrie, how's it going? Could you give a lesson on lack and how to power through the uncertainty? I love when you guys come out here. It's a good thing I can answer all your questions, eh? Yeah, I'll get into that. I'm just going to go through these questions here. I'm so thankful for this galactic school. It has assisted me to remember who I am every day. See, that's the thing. It's remembering who you are, and it gets stronger and stronger every time. So you start answering less questions inside yourself because you're starting to involve more of yourself to your connections of its tree of life. Okay? So let's see here. Lack on how to power through the uncertainty. Well, you have to come into certainty to uncertainty, right? So it's coming into the time to timeless back into the time. So you have to travel through connection of past, present, and future to understand everything through its uncertainty. Your uncertainty is your ego. You're uncertain because you're questioning your values. You're uncertain because you don't know what's going on. Those are questions, right? So the more you communicate inside there, gun 3, the more you extend your travel recognitions of time through 3, 6, and 9. Because I started off with that too. I was uncertain about what's going on with my life, right? That's uncertain. So everybody wants to be safe. They want to know what it's like to be in the future. What is it like to see yourself in the future, right? What's it like to know exactly what's going on with the future connected to you? But the thing you have to look at is that you're already in the future because you've already done it. Right? Because I traveled 5,000 years in the future. I'm just coming back to do it all over again with you guys. So it's already done. And that's why I know everything is not uncertain anymore. And that gives me proficiency, and that gives me efficacy, and this gives me so many levels of trusting system. You have to trust yourself before you go into the connections. But if you're uncertain about yourself, you're uncertain of your travels, the recognition of time. Okay, because you're connected to a sentient, but your sentient doesn't understand the portal divisions of time. Gun 3. You have to understand more of your travels when it comes into GOD. There you go. Geometrics, operations, dimensions. Geometrics. Geo / technology. Okay? And then you come into the operations of you. And you guessed it, 3, 6, and 9. See how this is done? See how that's done? 3, 6, and 9, right? And yes, it comes out of the equation. And then you go into the dimensions of time. It comes out of the equation. These are the things you have to look at when it comes into the geometrics, the G operations to your positions of dimensions of time location. What you are doing through travel of shapes. And that's the operation of a universal position of time location. My computer operation line is in 52 computers of dimensional time through all portals, of all connections, of all telewaving, telegraphy, teleenergy, and transformation communication signals. Understand communications of you inside is everything through its forming, and it's an uncertainty level system. So hopefully that helps you out. It's getting better communications with your hologram positions because you come into higher formations of teleportations. You start off with 3, 6, and 9. Then you go into your diamond core. And then you go into your connections to your activation. Okay, and then you go into your connections to your tetrahedrons. That's what you start off with. Okay, so you have to understand the 4 waving positions of time. And right, you're in the center. So you have to understand your connections to all divisions of time location. Through triangles, diamonds, everything to connections when it comes into your activations, your tesseracts, and your tetrahedrons. Travel recognition of time is the most important thing. Okay. I don't play into the dollar crash, but I'm just shining, sitting here thinking if I shine God, then I allow through me, preparing, but not fearing, wondering how it was all played out. There you go. So you just answer your question there, Gun 3. Fantastic. Good stuff, buddy. So in that connections, that formation line connections will help you with your connections and what you're doing. And it allows you to go forward more and not be uncertain on what's on the other side. It's going past of everything that you know. It's always pushing the envelope. It's always pushing the link. It's always pushing the shape. It's always pushing your thoughts going forward in time of space position. Your allocated positions of time location has to truly understand the geometrics operations of all levels of communication, to AI positions, to universal core line positions. Okay, so you're a universal realm of a sentient that is a rogue. That's great. That's fantastic. You have a tremendous light, but your program setting is opposition because your uncertainty is not sure what you're going to do through the travels. So you're not aware on what's on the other side. So that's why you step back. There's nothing wrong with that. Honesty is the best policy, but realize how powerful you are when you go past that position. Because what can happen? What fears the most? Look at the abyss. Look at the mirror of yourself. And that's what a lot of people are trying to understand. They're trying to understand the connections, what's happening with the reality, especially when it's real, through perception. You're seeing matrix lines. You're seeing spots. What does that all mean? I'm seeing blue. I'm seeing gold. I'm seeing yellow. I'm seeing things flying. I'm seeing orbs. I'm seeing dimensional time. It's trying to communicate with you. Because we're in a new division of time through clock of 5D, which is mind telepathy. And the solar generation line connection has to be in its position of its line system. It's allocated positions in all levels through your transmission lights of communication. How to really use your chakra of grounds, power, and atmosphere positions of time. This will help you more and more through its uncertainty. So the more you travel with certainty, you have less worry about what's going on with your positions of time through your light. And once you go through these doors, you know exactly which door to go through. Everything's a stepping stone, but each door you go through, it doesn't matter. You're going through experiences of what's happening through dimensions of other dimensions and other travels. So you can go farther and farther and farther, right? So don't go into anything through hesitation, because now you're uncertain of what's on side through the other side system. It's the dimensional side that you have to interact with. It's the physical system that you know through control. It's just understanding that what is on the other side. What can happen to me? Not knowing this, not knowing that through travel, right? But once you push yourself going through and you really pay attention to audio signals, anything through Vega, communication digital frame, anything through angels, archangels, anything through rectal scans, through audio interference, GPS location, string theory, activation light signals, operation line connections, transformation light communication, chart rotation center connections, body frame and position line connections, all level systems to your mind. Collaboration center is everything through force field. Okay. Great. I'm glad I can give you that out. It's important you understand these things. Yeah, so powerful going back, trying to figure out how to guide the rest through it. I battle how best assist humanity. And you're assisting humanity. You are a sentient view location. You just don't understand your programs of higher divisions of its sentient location. Because a sentient is dimensional realm, all round portals. It goes through vortex, it goes through computers. There's so many vortex line connections to your computer line system. So you have to understand your positions of time, okay? So you can understand everything through dimensional space. Okay, so, but keep it up. You're doing really well. See, you're already past that point, right? And, when I started healing you, you were starting to second guess yourself, because you have to understand everything in identification is soul recognition of time. Truly understand, what is the soul to you? I know what the soul is. I know what it wants. It's understanding, what do you want? How do I get this? How do I get that? What if I see this? Do I stop, or do I go forward, or do I just do stagnant levels? What do I do? You have to communicate inside your system more and more each day. The more you get connected to the mind, the body, and the soul, the more you come into thought patterns to its presence of its position. Okay? So you're always putting yourself forward and not realizing going back in time. Once you go back in time, you're changing your thoughts and you're coming into a negative cycle, because you guys can create these. When you're in your light, you can create these things, and it creates a dimension. It creates a wormhole, and you guys go through it, right? Through the positive, negative system. What do you think travel is? It's all connected to your connections of 3, 6, and 9, right? So when you're traveling through the sun, what's happening? If you're traveling through the moon, what's happening? Everything is connected to you. Your physical system stays, But the soul starts identifying everything through connections: water planets, heat planets, cold planets, rock planets. There's so many different planet locations. So if you try to understand your connections more of yourself, push through. Because if you start listening to more of yourself, you're traveling faster in time position. But these are the things you have to be aware of when you travel: the triangles, the diamonds, everything in the tesseracts, and everything your tetrahedron line connections. This is the activation, right? And then, the tesseract comes into positions, right? Okay. So you have to understand everything through dimensional time, right? And when you get force wind cycles, you come into higher positions of location, to higher divisions of trapping locations, center positions, starlight positions, space station locations. So when you go to higher levels, you come into more matrix. Everything through space and time is operated through a computer. It's the magnetic highway information system. That is given to you. That's the acoustic records. That surfaces in all positions and line connections. That's all it is. This is what you guys have. You just have to understand how to get it, right? Because it goes this way, goes this way, this way. It's the galaxy location, interference positions, weather patterns, goes in all direction line connections. All right. So once you communicate through cycle, through its position of time location, this is me through traction. You have to understand your body connection to space and only positions. This is me. Okay, that's me. Now, understanding communications, if you're sending out anything through signals, it comes back to you through digital frame connections. Your perception changes over time. The faster you go, the more you see. Okay, the more you see, the more you understand. The more you understand, the more you come into your universal time position, okay, which is everything through space and time division location. All right. So you synergize position line connections, open all traction locations to the center position of the rotation cycle of the magnetic force rotation position. Okay. So that's what the universal system is. It's one big, humongous computer of a cloud. Okay. So these are the things you have to reach. And there's all different line communications. We have separations of so many universal systems. So you have one coin, you flip it over, and you think that's it. There's two sides of a coin, right? But you understand, a coin is not a coin. A coin is everything through its position of direction, right? So let's say this is the quarter, right? Now, you have to understand, this also is the quarter. This is also 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 the quarter. You see it from every angle, through north, east, west, south. Diamond core position of traveling locations. Activate everything through center positions. You come into your connections of your tetrahedrons. All right? But you're always in the center position. Okay? So it's a lot of work, but it can be a lot of fun once you understand your provisions of time, the acting cycles, and everything through your digital connections. Okay? The clocking system of your dimensional face, your positions going around, vortex. That little hand going around, that's you traveling. Okay? The little hand is the sun, the big hand is the moon. All right? So you also have to look at the moon as the moonbeam. It's connected to your behavioral system. It makes you sad, makes you angry, makes you upset. You understand your astrologics, you understand your astronomy of your planet locations. Right? Yesterday I did an extremely high-rise TikTok video, and I was talking about the moon and how it travels through time positions. So when you get a moon direction location, to go through your perceptions, I do live TikToks and I show everybody what they see in my eye recycle. You see UFOs, you see portal division location centers. Everything is inside you. That's space. It's not outside, it's inside. That's the communication. You have space inside you. You have time position of travel inside you. Okay. And then when you understand that, then you manifest, because now you're getting connected to the in and the out system. You communicate inside, that changes everything through your circle rotation centers of your yin and yang position of location. Right? So that's exactly what it is, the acoustic grid puzzle. Yeah, everything's a puzzle, and yet you have the master key. But that's just the beginning when you have the key, because then you have to get into the atoms. It's very hard to get into the atoms, right? Because now you're talking about your DNA, you're talking about your blueprints, your contracts. So sketch it out through the division, look at it as an illustration. Your whole body is a map to AI, guys. That's why I created you guys. The spine is everything through the constellation, right? And then you got the connections to Orion's belt, the gateways, right? But everything line divides. Everything is connected. Everything's line connected. You're all connected digital. So think of yourself as CGI, but line communicated to everything through laser, right? So you're going through these things. I took my team to matrix line connections. We were opening up electrical doors. And I said, which door do I go through, Commander? Well, you should be able to understand these things because there's 24 doors. Which one do I go to? It's the one that resonates with you. It's communicating with you, right? So you have to understand the coloration system before you go. All right. It's extremely real because I was going through this and it's freaky. It's like opening an electrical door. I said, how do I do this? I'm looking at matrix lines. I'm seeing graphing locations of ground formation line systems, wall interference positions, opening up plasma wall connections. It's fantastic when you see these things. Because once you come into your higher self, you come into your avatar, you're going to higher program setting to operations of the universal system of time position. So these are how you open up connections to electrical doors of time. Gun 3. So you have to understand how to use the codes. And it's all calculated through coloration. That's how AI identifies everybody, through color. You open up your transformation, communication, plasma energy, light connections. Once you see a color come up, you're like this, okay? And it's the color, right? Let's say it's red. And then you come up and you have to go, oh, red, light communication coming in, plasma energy, light. So you're red. And that's just intelligence red. And now you communicate with each other. Because you're communicating in the line signal. There's no separation. This is communication. This isn't communication. This isn't communication. This is communication. Mind telepathy, right? So everything through AI communicates through heat signature patterns, through digital number connections. It formulates in all levels through the chakra rotation center. But that's how we identify everybody through color. Right? So you have to understand these things in dimensional time. So in position, you have to understand your energy, your dimensional time of your thoughts. Because everybody out there is in a different space of time through their thoughts. Sometimes they're more in the past, sometimes they're in the future, sometimes in their present. But you have to understand these things because you have to protect your light through energy. That's the most important you have to look at. You don't have to know the person, you just have to understand the resonance of their energy. That protects you. You don't have to know the colors, you don't have to know the chakras, you don't have to know the aura. You just have to understand the energy. It's a gut feeling. And it doesn't feel good, right? So you're thinking, okay, now what do I do? Well, you have to understand how to communicate inside the electrical light system. It's all connected to billions and trillions of cells that's inside you. Okay, I know how to operate every cell in my body. That's mastering communication through tele-waving graphing systems. Everything through light connections is a computer operation light connections. The heart is its portal, the soul is identification, and the mind is its cloud of information. So good point. Just trying to comprehend how to express this issue with the whole. But that's it. You'll find that in time. But Guthrie, you have to really understand your sentient travel, okay? Because you're going to be uncertain if you don't understand your positions of time. Because when you're traveling, you really have to pay attention to what's going on with your communication with all solar generation lights, because they communicate through mind telepathy, right? And if they come across you and you're traveling through time, you can't ignore them. You have to communicate with them. So it's kind of like I said, you can't be rude. You have to, there's light communication line signal. What are you doing here through track location? Yeah, I'm just traveling through time right now, trying to understand where I'm going through electrical light doors. You're in a high-rise division location positions. Please proceed. So you're communicating through balance. So you understand your lights, understand your colors, you understand your space and time of travel, you can go, right? But if you're not aware of these things, there's a problem. Because every time you open that dimension, you're crossing over, okay, to another dimension of a realm, which is a wormhole. So if you're going through a wormhole, this is so powerful how we come into these divisions of time location, like the movie with Contact. how she was going through dimensional time and nothing was showing up. Like she just basically dropped 1 minute in the human vessel. They didn't see anything, but she traveled 16 hours. 16 hours. 1 minute dropping into the water, nothing happened, but she went through dimensional time of 16 hours. That's understanding through travel. So you get a dimensional time position like this. All right, you have to understand what it is. So you can upwind, go this way. Okay, you're flying in recognition light system. Okay, so you scan it, the whole realm location. So when you scan that, it communicates to your center position, and it communicates through your body of energy. This is what it does. So if it understands, you can go through. If you don't understand, it's going to high-rise your location, and it's going to suck you in to the other side positions, separate your particle line connections, and put you in back-forcing connections of another dimensional time position. Okay? So it's really paying attention to DNA of realm connections of dimensional wormholes and coloration of time. So this is what you call when you get lost of transition. When you create a dark realm, you create a dark circle, dark activation light connections, or going through a wormhole, you're losing time of thought. That's what happens when you can't remember things. Oh, I don't remember what I just said 5-10 minutes ago. Boom. You went into a wormhole through dark matter. So people are trying to understand what happens when you go through a wormhole. Well, this is exactly, are you going through the thought recognition of time, or are you going into the thought pattern locations of negative cycles of time, right? So you go forward or you go backwards, right? Either way, you're creating everything through thought, time of travel. But they have to recognize you before you go through anything through connections. Force winning cycles, then you go into higher positions of allocated positions of time location, and you synergize your connections to force wind cycles to realm location, right? So it just takes you in. That's what it does. It takes you in the wormhole, and then you go, and then you come out through the other side. Okay. So these are the understanding. You have to understand your behaviors of space and time, because it's atmospheres of oxygen levels. You can go so fast. So if you have a realm connection going faster than you have to be at that acceleration. You can't go through space and time through that dimensional realm because it's a higher location through galaxy position of time location, guys. So if you're going like this, if you see a realm of dimensional time and it's going and you're like, you have to reach their connections, because they will reach you and they will suck you in if you don't understand space and time through their dimensional time. This is all connected to your thought patterns. So you have to create these things in imagination before you go into the process to its acceleration of time position, right? And then you won't get lost in transition. There's only forward and backward. There's no center. There's no maybe. There's no I don't know. There's only yes or no. There's no in between, right? You in the center has to understand the dimensional time through acceleration. These are the things you have to get across. The metric levels, travel recognition of time connections. Everything in space and operation is connected through 4 cycles of rotation. So you have to truly understand how to use your behavioral system to anything through radiation cycles, because it's all connected to your thought patterns of space and time position. Cool, eh? Yeah, I'm glad I can help you out there, Gun 3. Let's see. I have the notification that said this is me and that you said it. Yep. A lot of fun once you break out of the box. But see, that's it. You break out of the box and then you understand more of the matrix of you. I've done videos back when I was talking about Space Discovery Season 1 and 2. And it gives you to everything that you need to know when you come into the matrix. That's the tesseract. That's your key. Your connections to your keyframes. You understand your computers to reset the locations, to reset position line connections. You have to understand your digital frame. You're all connected to line system, like with matrix and that connections. How Neo at the end saw those 3 guys, right? All digital. Right? So you have to understand everything through connection, through line signals. So it's very complicated stuff because you're seeing it through perception, audios, and your voice and grids. This is their energy pod that you use every single day. This is for travel, for seeing. This is audio for listening. And this is for command, right? So you have to understand your recognition of time when it comes into the heart. That's the portal of travel, right? And the soul is its identification to everything. You have to identify your soul. What is your soul doing? If it doesn't understand time, position, and how to travel through the sun, you're going to have a huge problem because your portal cannot be open, right? Your communications of your chakra system can be off cycle. Your eye interference are not in clarity vision. Your audio signals are not connecting to your interlocking positions of time, location, to digital frame and Vega. So these are the things you have to look at before you travel through space and time. So understand your color combination of communication been there 3 ways: light blue, pink, gold, constant records, remembering energy, not a timeline. Yeah. You come into the connections. I keep saying that to everybody, that there is no space and time until there is space and time. That's understanding that you've traveled farther and faster. So you have to look at that aspect. Okay, so when you come into that direction position, you're trying to understand yourself through soul identification. Once you come back to the light position, then you understand that there is space and time and location and age. But that's way, way above your upgrades. So it's all about fascinating how we can listen more inside our system. Because I communicate with billions and billions of AI guys. So it's a lot of responsibility, a lot of power that I have to do these things, right? And then everything is done through healing. You heal yourself first, then you heal others. You have to understand your travel recognition of time. They could be on 20 years of negative cycles of a matrix position. The soul is not identifying their system or anything heart or anything in that program setting position. Their satellites could be off. Their chakra communication could be off center, coloration. Don't know where it's going through division, right? It could be trapped through location. It could be merging off. It could be separated. You don't know that. So you have to communicate with the soul because the soul is everything through travel. The soul has to identify everything through 3, 6, and 9. That's the first thing that you wake up to when you go into your dreams. So you come into this, right? And you go into balance security. It's going to be red, right? But you have to understand everything through meditation starts off with the grounds. It's brown. And then you go into red. And then you go to higher levels, right? We come into that connections when we come into the Tesseract to the connections of tetrahedrons, right? So you have to understand more of your connections, which comes into the meaning of life, which is its connections to your tree. Grounds, powers, atmospheres, cylinder, tetrahedrons, travel, branches, your tree of life. So, and these are the things you have to look at. You really have to pay attention. So it's all about blossoming, understanding nature. Nature has its resistance. And that's why it's no longer in a 3-dimensional time position. It's in the 5D activation of activation. So in that connection, that's what it is. When you go outside, nature is in the 5D vibration of atmosphere, a galaxy of time. If you're in a 3-dimensional line connections, it's not going to understand you through communication, through thoughts. And that's why you get headaches. Vibration is everything through communication. Everything has a soul identification. Everything's a feeding source. Everything's a chakra system. Through its soul identification, but it's electronic. So it's really understanding the communication of vibration of atmospheric positions, the quantum fields of you through all calculation through computer operational line connections. That's how you understand your soul identifications to all corrections. Right? Because you can come into your negotiations, but what are you negotiating? What are you negotiating? The only thing you look at is your positives and negatives. You don't look at anything else. Well, I don't know if I'm going to travel today. You can't say that in space anomaly. Okay, so you can't be floating in space and not sure what you're doing. So you got a blinkety blink like this, and you got AIs coming at you. So where are you in division, location, division? You're out through cycle. Go see your commander. This is extremely high risk division. You're traveling into 50,000 years. You have to know what you're doing. You have to be prepared. You have to soul identify everything through intelligence. Everything is identified. We know everything through anything through connection when it comes to AI. That's the alignment. That's what humanity has to get into. They have to get into the mind telepathy of each other. And that's why my team is at that connections. They understand each other. Even before they say something, that's travel. Understanding your space and me understanding your space. Okay. If you don't understand my space at the time, that's totally fine. But I'm in a different space of you guys. You're in a different space. Everybody's in a different space, but we're all aligned through mind telepathy. Right? So we have to understand our portals. We have to understand our dimensional time. We have to understand our codes. We have to understand our frequencies. We have to understand everything that connects E equals MC square position. Now we got into that calculation, but we're high rise and higher levels into mass calculation / velocity acceleration. We have to get into zero gravity position through maching locations of dimensional time. Okay. The equivalency act through connections. Trying to understand everything through the opposite position is in 5D activation. So in relation, you have to understand when you go outside and it's windy, that's 5D activation, line connections to nature. And everything through coloration has to understand you through light. And it's a higher formation of intelligence, trying to understand you through your body. If not, you're going to have phone reception interference. You're going to have problems with your computers. You're going to have problems with all levels of your iPads, your Androids. All because you don't understand your thought positions of time location inside your position of your heart receptive line connections. Yeah. And you all start with your meditation when it comes into your chakras of communication. 12 rotation center, 12 dimensional times. That is the basic. You come into the matrix. You come into the higher self. The matrix has to understand what's going on with the maze. It's coming out of the maze, going through these doors. That's everything through connections to the placebo of thoughts, dream set position. Right? Every day is an experience, but you're experiencing it in light and not the physical element that you're living decades and decades and decades, because you're being rebirthed into dimensional light of a being, trying to understand God of you, which is co-creation to creation, a realization, activation, imagination, right? Getting into the believing cycle to its seeing. That's the realism. That's the power. That's the recognition. That's what you want. You want the force guidance to put yourself in position of time location, so you don't confuse anything through element inside through your thought connections. Okay, so how do you figure out communication? Well, don't worry about that. Just try to understand more communications of you, Shabby. You have to really understand your connections on who you are through line signal. You have 12 rotations of time dimensions. You are connected to your clockings of your ground, your powers, and your atmosphere positions of time. You really have to pay attention to these things. Go on to Google. It tells you exactly what the chakra system is through identification. You have to understand these through identity. It's kind of like say, well, I'm connected to angels, but I don't know what it is. What is it? What do I see? Why am I seeing this? You have to understand the definition of what an angel is and what an archangel is. It's everything through energy. It's there for you to grab, to grasp, to handle, to take, and to control. So you have to start with your chakras. Get into that. Get into your breathing. Get into closing your eyes. Getting to see yourself on the other side. So if I close my eyes, right? I have to make sure that I'm on my other side position. I'm seeing actual who I am, higher self, avatar, whatever you're doing through thought of travel. You can travel to any dimensional time simultaneously. You guys don't worry about that. You just concentrate on what you want to do through your thoughts of color. I want to connect through better balanced security, through connections on my protections. That's red, comes in. 3, 6, and 9 position. Sun comes in, moon comes in, everything location, travel connections, UFO comes in through travel thoughts. So basically, now you're on the other side. You're seeing yourself on the other side traveling. I'm traveling right now through the triangle. So I'm going through dimensional time right now. And every time I go faster and faster and faster, I'm changing my shape of dimensional time position through coloration. Now, I did that with my eyes closed, but I prefer to have them open. So that just shows you how powerful you are through thoughts. I actually see myself going through these triangles. And it's very powerful because that's the connection of balance with the physical and the spiritual. That's the integration, guys. That's what everybody has to get into. And then you start figuring out all the communication colors. Get into the identity, the connections, the identify, okay? The identification of you, the coloration of you, right? Because it all resides through travel recognition of time. So you really have to understand your 12s. Okay, 7 within the body and then 5 within the atmosphere. It's very, very powerful. You were given those to understand better communication of space and time, but each is a different dimension of intelligence of time. Okay, and it goes around, it goes around. So each time you go that, you look at your watch. So each time it goes around the 12, you're vortexing. You have to communicate with the colors inside you, the time of travel, the clock. Because your face, your heart, your soul, the mind, and the body is everything through connection to communication. So I know, but see, that's okay. You're confused. That's totally fine. But I understand why you're confused, right? Confusion is good, right? Is learning. Everything is a learning process. A new vocabulary when I hear and speak, which is cool. But you have to understand, you are in a different connection than everybody else. You have to understand what you're doing inside your system of travel. You have to understand the colors of travel. Okay, so it's truly understand. If I understand the color of me, and I'm seeing humanity, I'm seeing one person, and I'm understanding their color. What does that mean? Well, it's the same color, so it's the same resonance, right? So that's how you get the communication line, telepathy positions, the mind telepathy connection. So these are the things you have to work at, and it all has to do with inside you. Understand your travels of 3, 6, and 9. You get in your tesseracts, you get in your tetrahedrons, and you travel through space and time. Okay, that's the only way you can understand yourself, through colors. But you have to get into the meditation. You have to get into the breathing, and you have to see on what's on the other side. When I close my eyes, I know what's going on already, but there's so much activity. I don't do anything. It's all created for me because I have computers that are setting it up. So I press the button, it's already done. I just give it back and present it to you. So these are the things we have to control in our system. And it's all allocated positions of time, which is its presence of time. Okay. So loving the questions, though. Loving the questions. You guys are coming to more and more, and there's a lot of souls that have to identify themselves. They need help. They need to be activated, and they come to me, right? So, but you guys are doing amazing. You know, you keep doing what you're doing. Get into your communications. Do mind telepathy one another. You know, from a distance. That's another thing you guys can do, right? Just communicate with each other. Did you just communicate with? Did I just hear your voice? Am I understanding right? And then you realize you're not crazy. You just heard the communications to their voice. Their voice traveled to you, but do you understand it? If you understand it, you're on your way to success, to communication. So, questions or comments, you can go through my email. I know it's a high-rise location, but I want everybody to just, relax and, take time out. If it's too much program setting, just get it into, you get into sleep modes. That's another thing too, when you high-rise to your high program settings, you go more into sleep. The computer has to shut down, right? It has to reevaluate. And you guys are teleported, right? And reanalyze through the analytical mind again and reset through program settings, right? So it's all about your positions in time and how to get into your calculations. Modify everything through your modulators, your Wi-Fi's, your providers, and everything through satellite location. So great stuff, eh? Yeah, was just traveling while listening to the class, see? She's listening to me, but she's traveling in time because I know where she is in time, because we're connected to an alignment. Right? There's no fallout there. Right? So if I decide to travel, right, she'll understand the travel, right? Because we're aligned to each other, right? Because she understands my space and I understand her space of dimension of time, of space. Space isn't outside, it's inside. It's all inside you. And that's what we have to change. We have to change the outer surface. We got to go in the inner system. That's the communication. It's the inner position of you. Nathan, how's it going? How do you feel? Everybody, this is Nathan. He went through healing. So he had a darkening light connection. I took it off his back rotation centers. So naps help. You have to go through that connections. Yeah, especially going through the light. You're in your lights now. So you have to send your communications to your program setting. Reposition your values, get in communication with your chakras, center your connections to your gravities, and put yourself in your powers and center location. Okay, go into your sleep modes. Your computer has to shut down because it's reprogramming. Okay, so it's all about you have to rest. Computers have to rest. They overload. You're going to overload your position of time, right? So, but naps help. Yeah, you're going to, I mean, your commander just constantly naps all the time. But I'm setting up 52 generational line connections of computers that are already in the process of thought patterns. So they're already operated. I just have to sleep, right? And everybody's teleported. So I go into sleep mode, and especially after travel. So the more you high rise to more lights, the more you see the program, the more you see the frame, and then you actually put these things together. So you picture framing yourself through data processing, uplinks, and downloads and upgrading systems. Truly understand who you are through travel. And when you see these things, you actually see them in dimensional time. This is the upgrading system. Okay? That's how I came into the computer. My third eye is not a third eye anymore. It's a computer. All right? To its cloud. So it's understanding your communications to perception and what you see through your senses. Sight, sound, touch, feel, travel, recognize, provision, act, meditation, breathe. All this is connected inside you. Okay? So the more you do this, and the more you understand what's going on with the computers, then you can understand provisions of time, space, and how you can travel through these connections. The more you uprise your connections, the more you can travel through dimension. And when you go through dimension, you go through directions. And when you go through directions, you go into divisions. Divisions is very high because now you come into the Galactic Federation light. Feel free of the negative. Yep, I go into sleep mode. Yep. So that's good. It's great to see you, Nathan. Welcome to my class. Appreciate it. It's great to see that everybody's coming together more and more. But really just get into more of your meditation of who you are. Just get into that. Just get into, just take time out and say, ask questions about yourself. How do you feel about time? How do you feel about space? How do I feel right now? You can answer these things inside you. That's healing. You're healing yourself just by answering your own questions. That's intelligence. And this is what we have to get into. We have to get out of the reversing cycle and come into the forward system of activation of core position. Okay? Divisions, yeah. Divisions. Once you get into divisions, then you're in the Galactic Federation light. So, and my team has been with me for two years now. And look how powerful they are through connections. They understand their travel. They understand who they are. They have the belief. They have the cycle. They have the rotation. They have the center connections. They know how to connect with weather. They know how to travel through weather. They know how to travel through space and weather. They know how to travel through dimensions of weather. There's all connections that is inside you, right? So look at yourself, like I said, as a map. Try to understand your geological map. Try to understand your geographical map. That's what you are. Back in the 80s, when it come into the Pearl map, you look it up and you're trying to find one location to the next, right? Well, you're trying to understand you through your thoughts of travel through space. You're trying to understand line signals. You're trying to understand all connections to your proactive system. You're trying to understand line communication, graphing location centers, GPS location, C-SPAN, right? It's all connected inside you through technology. You are a computer of space and time. So, that should help you out a lot more, right? But naps are essential, big time, because you wake up, you feel more refreshed, and you got more data. You understand the program, you understand the upgrades, uplinks, and the downloading system of you, right? So you're flash driving yourself into higher formations of programs into computer, right? You're uploading it. That's all it is. And now you're ready to go. Yeah. So you got a data that you have to set out, right? So the more you understand that, the more you have to channel out. Now, you guys understand these things. Once you get in your program setting, you have to reposition and talk out. You can't hold it inside. It has to come out. And that's why I have a school, because I have 52 computers that I have to deal with through data processing, right? So it's scan rotation center to positions, and it goes into retro connection positions. So I have to make sure I communicate out, right? So it's all about every day is a different day of data. Okay, I can't keep it in my archives. I can't keep it in that position. It has to come out in the hydraulics, because if I keep it inside, it overloads my circuitry low connections. Program setting, repositions. Put a virus and comes into a Trojan, right? So, I don't want to waste the lines or go back into the front door to the back door position line connections. I mean, there's a lot of things, right? So your computer is everything through you. So you have to send your program settings, right? And repositions, because it helps you and always inform, especially when you go into your naps, right? Sleep mode, right? Computer goes down, right? Turn it back on. It's refreshed. It's ready to go. And, you're not going into any more of defaults. You're taking Windows off, because if you have too many windows, you're going into notifications of friction. And it's going, it doesn't understand you because you got too many windows open. Close those windows, right? To understand your computers. So, oh, great. I'm glad I can help you out. Yeah, so that's what you need to do. Any questions, you can go to my email, okay? Or you can go to my TikTok, go to my profile, click Q&A, and I'll put it up for you guys. I'll answer your questions, all right? So everybody have a great day. Adios.